The intent of this video is to go through the project and order relationship and focus on the different areas within the projects, but specifically focusing on orders and the importance of selecting the right orders as we go through time cards, etc. So when you're in a project, and we're just going to use this Kirchhoff project just as an example. It's a very good project because it's in the middle of work right now, so it has a lot of things going on with it. From this view, there's a purchase order portion, which is new, and going forward, you'll learn more about this here in the near future, but going forward, all purchases will require a PO number that's generated from the system. Any notes that are applicable to the project are placed in this field. Any files such as plumbing permits, other invoices, etc. get attached to the project in this Files tab, and you can view those at any time. Tasks, this would be any additional tasks that aren't tracked that apply to the job specifically, and you can assign those to a person name. We'll use this more in the future. It's not being used right now. Quality control, which is a fairly recent introduction. Quality control is really important to do correctly because it lets you know where the job's out and what the balance to go is. So as you can see here, the rough and above has been complete and the trim has not been completed. That's how we know this is an in-work project. Also, has a trim been ordered? According to the quality control list, it has not been ordered. So this is something that, given when the trim is scheduled to be completed, we need to make sure the trim is ordered with enough lead time that it shows up on time. And then for gas piping, all the gas piping is complete except for the meter bar needs to be hooked up. So this just gives you a nice, concise view of what's been completed, what the balance to go is. If you are a person who completes one of these items that are on the control list, so let's say, for example, Brandon goes and completes the trim for whatever reason. Brandon's responsible for going in and making sure that these get completed as yes. And how he does that is he would need to go into the My Quality Control, search for Robert's Jobs, find the address specifically, and then go in and update those as complete. So even though Brandon's completing it, it's not going to show up under his name because Robert is the foreman and the assignee, but Brandon would have the responsibility for going in and completing those. As it relates to the orders are really important to pay attention to for multiple reasons. There's usually always a base order and then additions. And the most important thing to look at is what kind of a billing method is it. These ones both happen to be flat rate, but where we can get in trouble is if there are cost plus orders created, which happens very frequently. So we're going to create a cost plus order just to show how it works in totality. So we'll create a plumbing order. It's in progress for Kirchhoff. And this will just be a test order. Cost plus, and this is important that this gets selected because it'll show up in the order field. It's also cost plus or T&M, time and materials. Okay, so once the order is added, you can see that the total sale is $0, 0 margin, 0 hours. And that's different than the flat rate because usually the flat rate orders will have these numbers estimated in here. But when you go in and complete your time card, when you go in and complete your time card, so this one was Kirchhoff on Farrier, plumbing, and here's our order. So when you look at these, FR means fixed rate. So that means it doesn't matter if we put 200 hours against it or 2 hours against it, we're going to charge them the same. CP stands for cost plus. So that means if we put 200 hours against it, we're charging them 200 hours. If we put 2 hours against it, we're charging 2 hours. So we'll do the cost plus, choose our phase, and choosing the phase is critically important as well. And I'll show you more details in a minute. But when the estimated hours are generated, there's an estimated hours amount, and then any hours that go against it track the total actuals. So we can actually go in and analyze what was the estimate, how did we perform, was it an anomaly, or do we need to adjust the way that we're estimating, etc. It's just more data for us to be smarter about how we bid the work going forward. And in this case, we'll put 4 hours against gas piping and put it as a test. So what you'll see is when you put these hours against a cost plus order, it's actually going to update in the system and generate the total sale, total hours, etc. So we just added that to our time card, and now we refresh, and there it is. So the total sale is 288 hours, estimated hours was 4 hours. Another thing to think about is a lot of times in the morning when you're getting ready, such as stocking your truck, etc., a lot of people, and it's an acceptable practice, put those hours against their first job. So if you're going to start at the skirt shop, for example, and you're here at the shop for an hour, and then you're at the job for 1 hour, you put 2 hours on your time card against that job. In a cost plus situation, we can't do that, because then we would be charging the customer for the 1 hour that we spend here at the shop. Recommendation for how to get or to how to accommodate that situation is either put that hour against another job that you have that day that's a fixed rate, or put it against divisional overhead with a note of what work was completed. So it's really important that you select the right order, because the other thing too is when this total sale comes, this generates a billing list for Rick. So let's say in this example that we had added a time and material order to go in and, I don't know, move a toilet location or move a sink location, something like that, where we're going to charge them the total amount. But we also have to add a fire pit. That's very common. If the order is generated to move the toilet, but the gas piping team comes in and selects or puts their hours for the fire pit against the wrong order, it'll generate the billing, and unless someone tells Rick or Tonya that it was chosen incorrectly or to not bill it, they'll pay for that amount, and maybe it took 4 hours to move the fire pit, where moving the toilet would have taken 30 minutes. So they pay the wrong amount on the wrong order. So it's critically important that we get the orders correct.